What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of Holding Court here on the First State Hoops Report YouTube channel. I am First State Hoops Report's founding editor and Holding Court host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. Basketball season's over. Well, at least from a high school perspective, I know some AAU programs are already starting up. So, you kids that hoop all year round, just take care of yourselves. And everybody else who's had a chance to breathe, I hope you're relaxing. I know there are some other athletes who play other sports, like in the spring, they run track. Some play baseball, some play lacrosse. There are some girls soccer players. Again, take care of yourselves. But yes, hopefully everybody's doing well out there. So this edition of Holding Court, this is a special request because a parent reached out to me and said, Chris, you do a wonderful job, and I would love to know what your thoughts are regarding getting high school kids noticed for college recruiters. And I'm like, okay, this is right up my alley because as you guys know or may not know, I have a day job where I cover black college sports for HBCUsports.com. And I had a chance to interview Nolan Smith, who is the head men's basketball coach at Tennessee State. You Duke fans may remember who Nolan Smith is. And I asked him straight up, I said, I cover high school ball in Delaware. I said, there are a lot of kids and parents who are really discouraged about the recruiting game. And he said that at this point in time, college basketball coaches are running Fortune 500 companies. So what that means is it is now officially a results oriented business, which means they got to get the best players possible. And normally those are kids that are well in the transfer portal. So when you look at the transfer portal from this perspective, it has opened up a whole new can of worms. Yes, kids can go where they want. Yes, they can find the right fit for them. But there were, from a football perspective, at least, it's football now. Basketball is a different game. But for football, there were literally 9,000 guys in the portal this past winter. And there are still some guys in the portal as the winter turns to spring. So not everybody's going to find a home. And that's the hard part. And that traffic jam makes it harder for high school kids to get recruited. That's at a football level. Basketball, there are fewer opportunities to get recruited, especially at the Division I level now. Like, I can't think of a Division I coach who is taking high schoolers, high school seniors, like right off the rip. And that sucks because it didn't used to be that way. Because when I was coming up, it was nothing to, get, see your classmates or friends, have the mail stacked up on the table, whether it's from UD, Delaware State, Villanova, um, Maryland College Park, West Virginia, UMES, Pitt, Rutgers, or kids used to get mail all the time when I was growing up. I mean, granted, I was never that good of an athlete. Only mail I ever got from colleges was the entrance exams for my grades. That was about it. It was never any recruiting going on at my house, that's for sure. But now I see that kids and parents are starting to realize that this game now has changed so much, literally. And the way it is now is that um, the JUCO years no longer count against your eligibility if you go to a 4-year college. So that means a kid who plays at, we'll just say, Delaware Tech or Salem Community College or Hagerstown or Chesapeake or Cecil County, they can play for 2 years and still get 4 years at a NCAA institution. So that means they can be in college for 6 years if they want to. And what kid isn't going to take that opportunity? I mean, especially if you get, enough money together where you don't have to pay for much to go to college. I mean, you get a degree, you can start grad school, maybe you can finish a graduate program in 2 years. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. And you can play your sport while you're doing it. So I think a lot of, high school parents and kids are going to have to start thinking differently about how they want the recruitment process to look, because this is the first time in your child's life where they're going to realize that the real world, it ain't sweet out here. I mean, granted, coming from a dude who was never really a good athlete, but a dude who had to apply for internships at newspapers and jobs with newspapers against people from better known programs like Howard University's communications program, like Maryland's, Morgan State's, Bowie State's, Temple's. These are the folks I had to go up against for jobs 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, for being honest. I've been out of college a while. Yikes. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you start to realize that the real world is a hard place. And I think this is the time now where, I mean, it sucks, but this is the best time for your kid, your athlete to understand that, yes, you were great in Delaware. And granted, Delaware is, I believe we have some of the most talented basketball players around. They just don't get the publicity and they don't get the care that they deserve because, hello, the IAA just does whatever they want to do with basketball and doesn't do it correctly. So the kids don't get the publicity they deserve. But you gotta remember, Philadelphia, right up the road. Jersey, right across the bridge, got a lot of talent. DMV, Baltimore, right down 95, plenty of talent there. And then, of course, we aren't even talking about kids from other areas of the country like Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Michigan, Illinois, California, Texas, Iowa. Do I want to count Iowa? Yeah, Caitlin Clark came from Iowa. So yeah, it all counts. Iowa. Um, you know, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, everywhere in this country, man, people can hoop. Alaska and Hawaii too. So you're up against thousands of kids, for these college scholarships. And then you got to remember there's thousands of kids with eligibility who are looking to find where the grass is greener. So that's a challenge. That is absolutely a challenge. And I don't envy anybody in this process at all because I mean, I just what I would like to say is, and this isn't me saying that Delaware kids are any less talented than any other kids in the United States of America because that is not true. But what I do want to say is that you may have to, I don't want to say settle because settle is a dirty word from a personal and a professional perspective. You never want to settle for anything in life unless that's what you want. Settling has become a dirty word and with good reason because if you're settling for something, that's not what you really want. And no one should ever have to go through life settling for anything less than what they want. But settling, yes, wow, sorry about that. But yeah, I think I don't want to use settling, but I think you're probably going to have to I say be a little more open-minded about who recruits you and who wants you and instead of trying to figure out who does want to recruit you and who does because I mean who doesn't because people will show you. I mean there are colleges out there, Division 2s, Division 3s, NAIAs who will gladly take you, make you a starter off the rip and find a way to pay for your schooling where it doesn't cost you that much. No, Division 2 doesn't have the same amount of scholarships as Division 1. Division 3 has no scholarships. NAIA has no scholarships. But what they do have is good financial packaging in terms of grants and all of that and low cost loans. I mean, granted, none of us get out of this college thing for free. I mean, hello, I graduated over 20 years ago and Sally Mae still knocking on my door. But from a perspective of an athlete who, I mean, there aren't going to be that many pros that come from Delaware. I mean, the two guys from Delaware that are playing in the NBA right now are on the same team, Bones and Dante. So I think we'll all be Timberwolves fans come this spring when the NBA playoffs kick off. And Benijah Laney, as of right now, is the only active WNBA player from Delaware. So the pro thing may not be in your future, but what you can get is a low cost but high grade education that can help fund the rest of your life, whatever it is you choose to do. Whether you want to be a teacher, a lawyer, a chef, a business person, or you could go into journalism like me. But whatever you want to do in life, you got to have the education and the resources to do it. And if a school is willing to pay more than half of what you can of your tuition, your board, your room and board, your books, all of that stuff, I say you take it. And then of course, you can always move up. Because I can tell you now, I know kids that are committing in other states and this one to D2s and D3s that will probably be D1 in about 2 or 3 years. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. So it's like working your way up. Like you have to work. Like there are some people who have just worked their tails off. Like I think of a person that I know in journalism who, started off doing, weekly stuff for their, their municipality, wherever city or little town they lived in, little newsletter there. Then they ended up moving up to doing like working at a weekly newspaper. Then they ended up working at a daily. And they moved to another city where there's a bigger daily. And they just kept ascending. So it can happen for you, but you have to be patient and you have to be, I guess the word I do want to use is realistic. You're probably gonna have to be realistic about the fact that, like, I mean, and this isn't a knock on UD or Delaware State at all, but for some strange reason, and this isn't mean again, I have no ill will towards any coach here in the state of Delaware, especially Division Ones. They've all been good to me. Again, shout out to Stan Waterman. He's known me since my mom brought me home from the hospital. So this isn't me throwing shots at Stan. This isn't me throwing shots at Jazz Turner. This isn't me throwing shots at Sarah Jenkins. This isn't me throwing shots at Martin Inglesby. This is me telling you the facts. These coaches in Delaware don't look to Delaware first. And we would like them to, but the reality is they have to find the best players and the best fit. Because I mean, hello, they want to keep their jobs. That's the big thing. You want to win and you want to keep your job. If you win, you keep your job. It's really that simple. So who gives these guys and gals the best chance to win? May not always be kids from the home state. It is what it is. But at the same time, I would like that our, kids and parents have a little more open-mindedness about UD and especially Delaware State. And of course, I'm a Delaware State alum. I'm always going to defend Delaware State to the death of me. But I would like our kids in all different sports to say, wow, maybe DSU is worth a shot. It is. We know, UD's always had the money. UD's always had the bag. They've always had the facilities. But Delaware State is making strides, not just athletically, but academically as well. So I would like for our kids to think about staying home, and I would like for our coaches to think about keeping them home. But I get it. There are some kids who just want to get out of Delaware. Can't blame me. I was one of those kids at one point in time. And there are some kids who feel like, well, my best shot might be leaving Delaware. So this whole thing is a mess. And don't forget, we haven't even discussed the NIL and paying players part of it yet. Because that's that is the main thing at this point in time. Because now you have hearings going on in DC about how to, limit NIL and a salary cap. A salary cap in college athletics, if you've been around as long as I've been around, is absolutely a mind-blowing thing to you. It's definitely a mind-blowing thing to me. Because I never thought we'd see today, we're talking about a salary cap for the NCAA. But that's the reality of it now. And there are some kids who bring a bag with them. Like, you think about it. You think about what Juju Watkins is able to do with USC, what Paige Beckers was doing at Connecticut. Who else can I think of? Honestly, the women, and this is going to be a hot take, people ain't going to like it, but this is the facts. The women athletes have more motion than the men at this point in time. Because the women athletes have way more personality. They know how to market themselves because they've had no other choice because they haven't had the resources that the male athletes have had. So the women athletes get to the bag in the NCAA. The men, they may, but every time I look up, I see Juju Watkins got a new brand deal. I see that Flau'jae has a brand deal. I see that AZ Fudd has a brand deal. I ain't seen too many dudes with a brand deal. So let's talk about that. This NIL thing, this paying players thing, that's something else that you guys are going to have to account for. Like, you got to think about it. Like, am I a marketable asset? Not just as a basketball player, not just an athlete, but am I marketable? Am I someone that a local restaurant or a local car dealership or a local business or whatever can say, hey, I want you to sponsor this. I want you to mention this on your Instagram. Got to think about that now. Welcome to the real world, y'all. It ain't, like I said, it ain't sweet out here. It is not sweet out here. So there's a lot that goes into the new era of college recruiting, especially from a basketball perspective, because there aren't that many scholarships as there are in, like, say, football. And you can apply this to other sports too. Soccer, volleyball, baseball, swimming, wrestling, track and field, lacrosse, you name it. Those kids are getting paid now. They may not be getting paid as much as the football and basketball players, but they're getting paid for sure. So this is something that everybody, regardless of what sports you play here in Delaware, these are some things that parents and kids have to start thinking about now. Like, you literally may want to think about getting a lawyer for this type of stuff. I kid you not. College basketball players have agents now. Legitimate, certified lawyers to look over their contracts for them now. So y'all might want to think about that. Think about if you can afford it, or if you have a family friend that you trust that absolutely knows business and is going to do business in your best interest, not theirs, your best interest. That is what is going to be the key. That is what's going to be the key. So I hope this answers some questions for you guys. If you guys have any questions in the comments, feel free to drop them. I'm gonna put our email up. If you guys have any questions you want to shoot my way there. If you think I missed anything, or if there's anything more you want to know, I'll be glad to share it with y'all. So that's going to do it for this weekend's edition of Holding Court. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. All the contact information will be in the description below. Again, if you want to donate, because again, doing this costs money, and I still got to find a way to pay my bills and all of that. I'm going to put my Cash App and my PayPal in the description below, so you guys can drop your coins there if you feel so comfortable. So thank you guys for watching this edition of Holding Court. Hopefully you guys have had a week to breathe from basketball. But we're back. We're going to talk about some different things. Hopefully we have some guests on in the near future. I'm working on pitching some folks that are legends and, Delaware basketball royalty that hopefully will come on the show at some point. So that's the goal. So we're going to keep this Holding Court thing going, not just during the regular season, but hopefully during the offseason as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. And until the next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.